order to digitize your fruits and vegetables, you're going to need fruits and vegetables uploaded and put into your Assignment 3 folder. There are many ways in order to do this, and I've chosen to use one artboard that's 8 by 8, but you can choose any that you want. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how to use different objects within a single layer and how to turn on and off visibility so you can work on individual fruit in the same location without being bothered. Then you can take those fruit and use them in your other projects simply by copying and pasting them into the object itself. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to open up a new Illustrator file, new, and then this is going to be 8 by 8 board. Now, if you've made something already with 6 artboards, remember to make it 1. And in terms of labeling it, I'm going to call it vegetable or veg. Just to remind me, I'm going to open it up, create. So now I have an 8 by 8 artboard. I don't need the align tool. And this should be familiar to everyone at this point, the place command, so you can place a fruit or vegetable. It's important to know where you've stored your vegetables in order to do this. So File, and go to Place, or Shift Command P. And I have them stored, all 3 of them stored in a folder called Silhouette. I go to my first one, which is broccoli, and I place the broccoli. I click in a corner. And like as usual, everything's way too big, so I have to back up. Selecting the magnification tool. I don't know if you know this, but if you click and drag to the left, you can actually shrink your artboard. If you hold on to the space bar, you can use the hand tool to move it in place. Couple things I have to do. I have to rotate this and scale it. So I'm going to go to my selection tool and I'm going to rotate the object. I'm going to move it into place. And I'm going to hold on to the Shift key as I scale it and drag one of the corners in. Again, this should be familiar to everyone, in order to preserve its aspect ratio so I don't squish it. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. And now with the Properties panel selected, I'm going to choose Image Trace. And I'm going to do black and white logo. I'm going to hit OK. And it's image traced, which is awesome. The next thing I'm going to do in order to make all the paths accessible is go back to the Properties panel and hit Expand. Once I've expanded it, it's now still a grouped object. I want to be able to go to different places and make stuff go away. So I'm going to go up to Object, Ungroup. Once it's ungrouped, notice that what you see here is the artboard, that square thing. And the white space that goes beyond the artboard, that's the white space of the paper that was around the broccoli. So I'm going to take my selection tool. I'm going to select off of everything right now, go over to where I see the paper is, and then I'm going to hit delete. Now, if you did it correctly, it just deleted the paper. It hasn't deleted anything else. What I can do, there's also paper in my broccoli. I have those little spaces. There's also white paper in there. So I click in the middle, I hit delete. I click in the middle, and I hit delete. All right. There's a couple areas in the broccoli that might not be perfect, so I zoom in. And I notice a couple things. See these black dots? These are kind of error areas. So I can take my selection tool, go up to a black dot, and just make it go away. Now there's also, notice there's some imperfections here. Now I could have retraced this and tried to get some of the imperfections out, but sometimes you're just stuck with some of these smaller little areas. that are white, and I'm going to zoom in so it's a little easier to see. To take care of those white areas, right, what I can do is go to my direct selection tool, go to one of these white areas, and it's important that I hold on to the Option key and I click. What the Option key does is it selects the whole white area as opposed to one dot. And then all I have to do is hit delete. Oh, that didn't work. I select off now. I've selected everything I want to select off. I click. I click on it once and then I Option click. So it takes 2 clicks with the direct selection tool. And I hit delete and it's gone. So I click on it once. I click again with the Option key depressed and it's gone. Does that make sense? And so that's how you kind of clean stuff up. Okay, rather than bore you in cleaning up this whole thing, that's the way to do it. The other thing I want to show you about cleaning up is you can use the eraser tool, which is located right above this circle tool here. There's something called an eraser tool. If you click on the eraser tool, you can get up close to your fruit or vegetable and erase some of the problems. See, I'm kind of making it a little bit smoother, which is kind of cool. It can make up for some of the errors that you made in terms of how you chose to create this. And so that's actually probably pretty good at this point. So that's my first one. All right. So I'm going to go through the same process and do it again. But I'm going to leave right now. I have the Properties panel selected on the right. I'm going to go to the Layers panel to show you what's going on. Right now I'm in Layer 1. If I click this little, I don't know what it is, it's like a little mark there. Notice all this stuff that's here. Right now, the only thing that I'm concerned about is that broccoli. There might be some other trash I can't see, and it's all these other little areas. So notice this path and these paths, these are just extraneous little garbage that I brought in. I want to throw all those little objects away. And what I do is I click on an object, I go down to the bottom of the palettes panel, and there's a trash can. And I can throw it away. Click on this guy, throw it away. Now if I click and shift click, I click on one, I shift click on the bottom one, I can select a whole mess of them and throw those away. So now I have one compound path. All right, it's all in Layer 1. But now I need to bring in something else. I want to bring in my tomato. The way I bring in my tomato is I want to make this guy go away. I don't want to do anything to it. I don't want to erase him. I just want to render him invisible so I can put something else in its place and I can work on that thing. So the way to make something invisible, first I'm going to lock it. This little area right here, you'll see comp and this eyeball. This little area right next to the eyeball, you click next to it. Now it's an empty space, but when you click on it, you click and you find something that looks a little like a padlock. So I've locked it. And then I turn off the eyeball. Now it's gone. It's not disappeared. You can see it's still there, and if I hit on the eyeball, it comes back. So it's ready for me whenever I need it. I just don't need it right now, so I'm going to make it invisible. And I'm going to do the same thing. File, place, and I'm going to find the tomato. I'm going to hit place. I'm going to put the tomato in the area. I'm going to go down to the magnification tool, and I'll drag to the left to shrink the screen. I'm going to go up to the selection tool, holding down the shift key, bring this puppy in. Like that. All right. Go back to the magnification tool and bring this puppy in place. All right. So now I'm going to go back to the Properties panel because that's where I'm going to find image trace, black and white logo. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing, expand. I'm going to object, ungroup. Then I'm going to use the selection tool. I'm going to click off so things are unselected. Then I'm going to click back on again and hit delete. So I've deleted the piece of paper. I'm going to go in here and there's a piece of paper in there. I'm going to click delete there. I'm also going to do the same thing right here. All right, everything else is deleted. Now these guys, these are little areas. And if you'll notice, I can't really hit delete. There's still a hole there. I kind of have to fill the hole. So instead of doing that, I'm going to go back to my direct selection tool, and I'll show you. I'll get closer so you can see what I'm doing. So the first thing I do is I click once, that selects it. I option click, that selects the whole thing. I hit delete, and that should have made everything go away. There. Sometimes you have to try it a couple times. All right. All right. Now the only other thing I want to show you, and you can clean this up. That's relatively easy to do. There are a couple ways to do that. I want you to see the side of my tomato for a second. Notice it's kind of bumpy. And let's say you don't want that bumpy quality, right? With the selection tool selected, I can click outside the tomato, click and drag, so I drag an area of the tomato. And I can go to some place. So what I'm essentially trying to do is I'm trying to make a very complicated path kind of simple. I want to take out some of these dots. If you see each one of those anchor points, I don't need them all. And they're kind of like jaggy, and I don't like them. So when I have the bunch selected, and you can tell the ones are selected are the ones that are dark blue as opposed to the ones with the white center. I go to Object, Path, Simplify, and I hit the Preview button, and look what happens. I have this nice perfectly smooth side. And I can decide how faithful or how smooth it is. If I make it curve precision, bring it down to 9%, that makes it perfectly smooth. If I want it more accurate to what I did, then I bring it up higher. But you can see the advantage of doing that. And I can do that all around the tomato and make the tomato round if I want. Okay? Good. I think that's about all I need to do in terms of showing you this. Basically, now I have the tomato. I have all these extraneous paths. So I can go back, click drag. I can shift click all of those, throw those in the trash, and now I have my tomato. I can turn off my tomato, turn on my broccoli. So I have this area that has all the fruit. And then when I need them, right, I can go back and select the object. Actually, right now, I have to turn off the lock. Once I turn off the lock, I can select the object, Command-C, and then I can go to any place, any other document, and hit Command-V, and then I have access to that fruit or vegetable. All right, does that make sense? If I lost everyone? All right, I will come by. All right, I'm going to save this. I'm going to veg AI. I'm going to go to Documents, JBordage, Assignment 3, Save. Okay.